Hello everybody of the Let's Play community, I'm the Blind Swordsman, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy VI. Last episode, we made it to the final part here of Kefka's Tower. We're actually going to do it in this episode, and it's going to be post-commentary, unfortunately, because I screwed up a little bit. I died a little bit in this boss, but I kind of figured him out. And I'll show you what I mean by I figured him out. I'm just leaving everything in. Doesn't matter. This is the finale, man. This is the finale. Let's just get this done, man. Let's do it. So we can save right there if we want to. I don't really care about that because we'll auto-save when we get into the battle. And now a cutscene will ensue. Alright, so now you get to pick your party, and so, yeah, I died a lot, so I did pick my party. So what I'm going to go with for the first part of the fight, basically what happens is you put them in order, and when you put these guys in order, basically it goes like so if certain people die within like different formations of the fight, if any four, which I think is kind of pointless, because if your first 4 people die, it's a game over, so it doesn't really matter. But it doesn't matter to me anyway, because I'm actually not going to die. Somebody's not going to die till the final fight. So what I'm going to do here, and this is what I thought that I could just go in and use freaking what's it called, Ultima. No, you cannot use just Ultima, and I screwed up a little bit here because I used Quake. The problem with Quake is that, and that's why I used Float with Celeste as well, is it hits you too, so that's a problem. So and you don't even need to use Quake. You don't even need to use Quake, honestly. Oh, I did not use Quake with him or with her. I used it with him, with Edgar. So what I decided to do is use Flare instead, because here's the problem: you use Ultima on the final part of this fight, Kefka will wreck you. So don't use that. I would recommend Flare, because Flare, you can manipulate how the boss works, and so using the powerful spells isn't always the best thing, except, you know, obviously Flare is a pretty powerful spell in the game. It just doesn't do max damage like other ones do. So yeah. And then the second part of the fight has the most statues of the gods on these. Again, I just use Flare. I think Flare takes out one of them or something. But the main guy that's going to be doing your damage, for how my setup is going to be Cyan, because Cyan is just been a beast. Like, he's level 99 and he's a beast, you know what I mean? Turned him into an imp, so I got to take it off of auto battle, and I got to turn Edgar back into Edgar. He's now imped, which is bad. I don't want him to be imped. So yeah. So we'll just see how it goes. And then once one of them dies, it uses a 10-hit combo. So basically what it'll do is it'll hit your party members 10 times. I should have probably taken off the shields for everybody, because if I could have done that and put the good shields on this party, I probably wouldn't have had so much of an issue. But that's where my problem was, is that I was not ill-equipped, or I was very ill-equipped to take on this fight. So it's just my stupidity sometimes, you know. And I've never done this before. But I checked some Call Me Johnny's video, and I thought, you know, okay, that looks super easy. I'll do that. He's been playing the game since '95, so I haven't. So, you know, and then all of a sudden, what's her name goes to sleep. So, trying to figure out how to wake her up. I could have used a remedy. I bet you I could have used that. So, like, trying to figure it out now. She'll wake up at some point. I think she does wake up fairly quickly. So at this point, I'm like, crap, now I have to use my Mega Elixir. So that's all I could do at this point. So I just decided, okay, go back to Flare. And I should have just waited. Like, I really should have just waited, just because we have that magical stat item thing that's on these guys that keeps us from, like, falling asleep. So it missed Terra, but we'll go ahead and get her up with a gold needle. Not really too tough of a thing. And I don't know, but it feels like it's not even the fact that, like, you can manipulate the RNG in this, but it feels like it's just they could do whatever they want to, you know what I mean? Like, anybody in the towers, especially this god statue, can do that. And so yeah. And I actually had thought I used the gold needle on the wrong guy. Turns out I was wrong. So this should end Statue Goddess E, and now we can head up. And this is where things get a little trickier, but this part's not really that bad. I don't really feel like, especially if you do what I'm doing, instead of using Quake, you just use Flare throughout the whole thing. This final boss fight is nothing special, like, for real. I think X-Death is a lot harder. I also think Final Fantasy IV is a lot harder. 2's nothing special, and I think 1 is actually a much more interesting fight than this. Just because I think 1 has the most difficult final boss fight in the series, to be honest. Even... excuse me. Been sick, sorry. Even Final Fantasy VII, you'll see when I get to there at some point one day, that Final Fantasy VII, its final boss is super easy. I don't know how he died. I think it's because he's constantly taking damage for some reason. But the funny thing is, you can actually get him up. So I'm like trying to get him up, and you aim there. I don't know if this is a glitch or what this is, but like, yeah, he's back up now. This will cure him, but he stands up there, which is funny. But now we can go back to just doing this and attacking. And he does Meltdown, which I don't think does a ton of damage. No, not for what we have. If you're doing like a low level run, you're effed. You know what I mean? But yeah, this should take him out right here. So I'm like, okay. Because you see how my menu went away? That means we got him. Uses repose, but it missed. And so now we're going to take on the final of the final bosses. And I love this theme. This is like the beginning theme, like when you first turn on the game, but it changes things a little bit, which is kind of nifty. Kind of nifty and something I like. I like that they kind of like remixed it, which made it that much better. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Obviously, the bad guy's Kefka. We're going to take on Kefka. You don't climb up Kefka's tower to be like Horrende or something. You know what I mean? Or X-Death, you know what I mean? You don't go up X-Death's tower and it not be X-Death, you know what I'm saying? Where they come from? Where they go? Such meaningless things. I'll destroy them all. Alright. And it does his laugh. Love this track. Very good track. I love the organ sound with that. So Heartless Angel sucks. Because what it does, it saps all your HP down to 1. Now, Final Fantasy VII... Sephiroth does this, but I think this is way harder because he will use Ultima. He'll cast Ultima on you and kill you. Super easy. That's why I said use Flare, because if you use Ultima, he will use Ultima first. Because Ultima's not going to kill us. Ultima just does half our damage at this point. He's not leveled up high enough to compete with us. But basically, what I was saying was... and Havoc Wing is tough too, but like, if you do max damage on him, he uses Ultima with you, and then he uses the sapped energy, and then he uses Ultima again, but he's so fast. But there you go. So with that, folks, ends my Let's Play of Final Fantasy VI. Very good game. A very, very good game. I mean, I don't think there's much more I can say except this is seriously one of the best games I've ever played. And seriously one of the best RPGs I've ever experienced to play through. So good. Music is good. Story's fantastic. The characters in it are brilliant. And I love their backstory. I remember, I don't know if y'all watched The Completionist, I do. But he said Final Fantasy VII is a game about loss and dealing with it. This game's more. It's better composed like that. You know what I'm saying? Like Final Fantasy VII, yeah, it's fantastic and the story's good and it does have some loss, but like the thing about the loss in this game is everybody has it. Everybody has it, whether it be their own doing or whether it be they watched it or whether it be something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they have dealt with loss and they have to learn how to move on with it. Like Celeste committing suicide is a big one that I think of when I think of this game. Terra feeling bad about the mistakes she made in the past because she was slave crowned. Celeste also like trying to get away from the Empire. Locke failing his girlfriend. Cyan's wife and child dying. Setzer like losing a really good friend. There's a bunch more. Mog, Umar, and Gogo don't really have to deal with that, so they're my least favorite characters in the game because of that. Gao hasn't really done that either, but he's probably the least favorite out of like the first half characters that I get. Like Strago and even Realm have had to deal with kind of losses as well. And also Edgar and Sabin, dude. Like they had to deal with some losses, you know. They had to deal with their own problems. Like the thing is like all these characters have problems. All these characters have issues that you want to fix. By the way, in the last cutscene, the long 20-minute cutscene that I did not talk over because you know what, it's a pretty good cutscene, and so I wanted y'all to see it without me talking. It will actually show you. So if you don't have every character unlocked, it'll actually show you where the characters are and where you can unlock them. So that's pretty sweet. But I figured I'm gonna get all the characters, you know. Got all the characters, got them mostly all maxed out except a couple. I think Umar is probably the worst character in this game. That's why I did not level him up as much. So, but I like the characters. I like the story. I think the story is very well written. I think it's very tightly written too. A lot of people think that the story isn't as tightly written. Like, for example, the part in the Esper world where Terra's mom just leaves. And I will say that didn't really confuse me as much as other people did. I kind of understood why she was leaving. I understood why she was taking the baby. So, like, I think maybe it was just a translation at the time, but this translation is super tight, this one, to help you understand stuff like that. And I really, really enjoyed the story for this one. I think this is the best story in the series, like, bar none, like, for real. Like, 9, 7, 8 don't even compare, dude. Like, they're just not as good as this story. They just are not. Like, even the second half of the game is mainly just getting backstory for everybody, but it's so detailed in how their backstories are. Like, for real, dude. Yeah. And you know what? I will say I had the most fun with this Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster marathon thing with this game. This game was so much fun. Like, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had playing an RPG, like, for reals. And I wouldn't say that if I really didn't think the game was good. Like, I even said, you know, I think I even said in 5, it wasn't that fun. Like, 5 was pretty good, but it wasn't that fun. Like, I don't understand. That's the only game I don't understand how that could be your favorite game in the series. But hey, that's me. If other people see it differently, that's cool, man. Like, for a while I thought it was 4 and 7 or nothing. But as far as the Pixel remasters goes, I had a lot of fun with those too. It's been a journey, but it's been a very good journey, and I'm so happy about that. Anyway, folks, enjoy this final cutscene, and I'll see you in Twilight Princess, which I'm editing now as we speak, and I'll see you in my next LP.